All rise.
Thank you. Good morning. My apologies. Monday morning gremlins, I think, it's safe to say.
Chair, thank you. The next witness is D668.
Thank you.
Would you repeat after me? I swear by Almighty God
I swear of Almighty God,
that the evidence I shall give
the evidence that I to give
shall be the truth,
should be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
Please, you can sit down.
So perhaps I can start by just saying you'll understand why I won't be referring to you by your name. And my apologies that it seems rather impersonal, but I will just refer to you as Sir throughout your evidence. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For the purposes of this inquiry, as the Chair has just said, you are ciphered as D668. And can you confirm, please, that you have made a statement to the inquiry? You may remember you signed and dated it the 22nd of November 2021 this year. Chair, that's DL000153.
Thank you.
To which there were two annexes, you will remember, DL000151, Annex 1, and DL000152, Annex 2. You also made a witness statement, you'll recall, on the 12th of October of 2017, so some years ago now. And Chair, that's HOM 002543. I'm going to ask that all of those documents be adduced in evidence in totality.
Agreed. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Right. As I say, you've made several witness statements, and what I want to try and avoid, because there are four of them, is to go between them, because otherwise we will get bogged down in just looking at different paragraphs of different statements. If you need to refer to any statement to refresh your memory at any time, let me know. But let's see how your memory is, and if needs be, if I think you're struggling, I'll take you to a paragraph of a witness statement, all right?
All right.
But first of all, you'll confirm that you are an asylum seeker from the Ivory Coast.
Correct.
Is that right? Your language is French, but you speak English very well, and you understand English. Is that right?
Correct.
I want to ask you immediately about something that you say in your witness statement to the inquiry, and just for the record, that's paragraph 3. You say that you were tortured and mistreated in your home country.
Correct.
Before you came to this country. And you also said that although your asylum claims had been refused and elements of your claim were not believed, the Home Office has always accepted, since determining your claim back in March 2009, that you were a member of an opposition party in the Ivory Coast, and that you were arrested and detained on a number of occasions between 2002 and 2006. Is that right?
Correct.
You will remember that in June 2009, there was a court hearing in which the court dismissed your appeal against the Home Office refusal of your asylum claim. Yes?
Yes.
And you made further submissions on human rights grounds to the Home Office, which again they refused.
Yes.
In August of 2010, there was a further court judgment in which your appeal was again dismissed. Do you remember that?
Yes.
The following questions I'm about to ask you are asked on behalf of the Home Office. You understand I have to ask questions which
Yes.
the Chair agrees for me to ask on behalf of other court participants, the Home Office being one of them. And these are the questions. First of all, will you confirm that in the judgment of the court, which is the first tier tribunal, of the 12th of June of 2009, the judge ruled that what you had said about being persecuted in your home country wasn't believable. Do you remember that's what the judge said? It wasn't credible.
Yes.
And will you confirm that in the first tier tribunal judgment, again this time in August 2010, the judge said that the evidence you provided showed in effect that your claim was false, your claim to persecution was false? Do you remember that?
Yes.
The question I ask you, arising out of those two questions, is do you accept what those judges found against you, that your claims to persecution and torture were false?
No.
I'm going to ask you some extra questions, which I have been asked this morning to ask.
Sorry, Mr. Altman.
I want to add something, if I can't. Say, in 2010, I was my own. I don't
Now,
have a
I'm going
solicitor.
to ask you, you wait for me to ask the questions,
Okay.
then you can answer.
Okay, thanks.
All right? That's why I'm about to ask questions which we were only asked to ask you this morning. All right, so if you just be patient with me and answer the questions. And the first question is the very one that you were about to answer for yourself, that at the time of your appeal in 2010, first of all, there was no medical evidence put before the court, is that right?
Yes, it's correct.
Secondly, you were unrepresented.
Correct.
And you can confirm, and we will look at this later, that on the 24th of July of 2017, Dr. Chowdhury at Brook House carried out a medical examination on you. Do you remember?
Yes.
And he assessed that there was independent medical evidence that supported your claim that you had been tortured. Do you remember it was a Rule 35 report?
Yes.
And is it also right that the Home Office responded to that Rule 35 report on the next day, the 25th of July, noting the appeal decision of 2010, but accepting that your account in the Rule 35 report met the definition of torture?
Yes.
You understand what I've just asked you?
Yes.
Is it also right that in the following year, in November 2018, you were assessed by another doctor, Dr. James Brockbank of the Helen Bamber Foundation,
Yes.
who diagnosed you with PTSD and found your clinical presentation to be entirely in keeping with a history of torture?
Yes.
And also found, as he put it, that most of your scars were highly consistent with the account of torture that you gave.
Yes.
And finally, in this regard, is it right that the Home Office has since given you a fresh right of appeal, and that was in June of this year,
Correct.
in your immigration and asylum case, accepting that you have a fresh claim under the immigration rules,
Correct.
so that your evidence creates a realistic prospect of success if it went before an immigration judge again?
Exactly.
Right. Are you happy now I've asked all those
Yes,
questions?
I
Good.
do.
Good. Right. Let's go back in time then, please. You were detained, and again, I'm looking at your witness statement. Chair, it's paragraph 9 onwards of the inquiry statement.
Thank you.
Tab A1. You were detained on the 17th of May, is that right, of 2017,
Correct.
after you went through a marriage interview, which the Home Office said was a sham.
Correct.
You remember that. And you were detained until the 14th of October of that same year. Is that correct?
The 4th October.
4th or 14th?
4th. 04.
All right.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
I'm not going to quibble with you. I found the date somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. In October, let's say,
Yeah.
2017. And your detention at Brook House began at a little after 4 o'clock on the morning of the 18th of May. when did you see a nurse for health screening
Yes.
in that morning? Do you remember telling the nurse, I'm going to summarize some of this to you, that you told the nurse you'd been assaulted by police in the Ivory Coast on 2 occasions while on a protest rally? Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, correct.
But there was no Rule 35 appointment made at that time.
Not at all.
Did you also disclose that there had been previous self-harming by you?
Yes.
Do you understand my question? That you had harmed yourself before?
Yes.
And you had no recollection of being seen by a doctor within 24 hours of being detained at Brook House,
Correct.
as required by Rule 34 of the detention centre rules. Now, that was the 18th of May. You stayed at Brook House 1 day
Exactly.
at that time, and you were transferred to the Verne the
Yes.
next day. Why were you transferred, do you know?
Abiding to my memory, my previous solicitor make appeal. We said we're going to give him time, 3 weeks, the time we process the case, and then we'll take a decision. So what are you about? So the reason for why they send me to the van.
So it was something to do with something your previous solicitors had done,
Yeah.
and because of it, they sent you away from the Gatwick area to the Verne.
Yeah.
Is that what we understand?
Yes.
Now, can we put up on screen, please, HOMO or HOM 0322022 at page 1. I'm going to put a document up on screen for you. Chair, it's B2.
Thank you.
HOM 0322022. You got the document?
Yeah.
It's not coming up on the screen. Just have the feeling it's going to be one of those days.
We will keep our fingers crossed for 2 minutes and hope that we can resolve it.
Yeah. Optimism is my middle name. Not. Apparently it's come up on the evidence handler's monitor, but it,
On this screen.
yeah,
It's
I'm
not-
afraid it's not. Anybody behind me? Can I
Does anybody have it?
just engage in a little audience participation? No? I have to rise again.
Okay, my apologies, sir. We've
Very
got
sorry.
a technical problem.
We have another technical problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm very sorry. Hopefully we'll have a smoother.
Chair, given the snail-like progress, can I suggest we sit through till 1 instead of 12:30?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up on screen is a document headed Immigration Removal Centre Detainee Induction Sheet. And I was asking you about your first admission to Brook House. If we can just expand the top, please, for a moment. You'll see it shows at the top, under your cipher, detained since the 17th of May 2017 at 1:59. Do you remember what 1:59 is, or should it be 1:59 p.m. or 1:59 a.m., or does that time make any sense to you?
PM. 1:59 p.m.
Is right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were asked, if we look at the form, various questions, and whoever completed the form was able to tick yes or no, as the case may be. Can we go to the bottom, please, of the form, because you deal with this in your second annex. Why are you holding up post-its?
It's about the time. Every day, 1:59 p.m. I'm sorry. And that time, on the 17 May, I was staying on in home office in Croydon.
So that's the time.
That time is wrong.
What should it be?
It should be AM.
AM. All right. Well, that's why I asked.
Yeah, because I didn't check with. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you don't have to be sorry. Looking at the bottom of the form now that you have on screen, is do you see that there are 3 free text boxes at the bottom?
Yeah.
And you see the second one, welfare issues, behaviour issues, other observations. You dealt with this in your second annex. Were you asked about any special needs that you remember?
I don't.
You don't? If you had been asked, would you have answered that you had a previous diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yeah.
Or that you had been previously tortured?
Yes, I will say that.
Can you explain why that box is empty? If you weren't asked questions, did you not say to the person who was completing this form that you had particular issues? Can you understand why the form is blank?
No.
All right. Let's move on then, please. I want to ask you, from various, we'll see how we get on, but from various entries in your medical records, and you will have seen these. Can we put up on screen, take this down, please, and we'll be coming back to this document from time to time. Chair, it's bundle B3 for you. For us, it's DL 0000040, and we start at page 49, please. And right at the bottom of that page, right at the bottom, you'll see 18th of May at 4:17, so that's in the morning. This is at Brook House. You'll see him by somebody called Christopher Painter, a staff nurse. And here you give a history. You'll see it says new admission from sign-in centre in London. So is that where you were detained, somewhere in London?
Croydon.
Croydon.
Home office or reporting center.
Okay, and you were brought from there to Brook House. No medical problems, no thoughts of self-harm or suicide, no known allergies. States he was assaulted by police on 2 separate occasions when on a protest rally. Do you remember I asked you that before? It may seem a long time ago now, but I asked you that before and you confirmed it. previous self-harm, 2009, left wrist injury, punched a wall. Remember that? So that's what you told the nurse on the 18th of May in the early hours of the morning. Do you remember what time you arrived at Brook House?
Recalling my memory, it was after 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
And that's why we saw the other but the other time was the 17th of May. If it was after 1 o'clock, that other document should have said the 18th, presumably. Do you understand?
I don't get it. Could you repeat, please?
Do you remember the document I showed you a little before,
Yeah.
which said 17th of May, 1:59 p.m.?
Yeah.
Should that have been the 18th of May as well?
No,
It
because that time was until past midnight.
Yes.
I was still on the cradle.
You were still in Croydon?
Yes, so
I understand.
it might
Okay.
be AM
So
rather
that-
than PM.
That relates to Croydon. All right. Let's look at another page, please, of these medical records. Now, the way they're copied, unfortunately, Chair, is they're backwards. So we work backwards in this document, but as far as I've been able to tell. So we start at page 48, please. And if we look about the bottom third, it's hard to pinpoint, but if we can start with health information the prisoner thinks is important. That's it. Self-harmed in 2009, injured left hand punched a wall. Prisoner has not tried to harm themselves in prison. Had you ever been in prison?
Well, here and back home,
But in this country?
never.
Prisoner has tried to harm themselves outside prison, and that's presumably the punching a wall. And then impressions of the prisoner's behaviour and mental state: calm, cooperative, good eye contact. And do you see beneath that victim of torture? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Beaten by police in 2009, hit by wood and plastic rods on 2 occasions while on a protest rally. And then 2 lines beneath that, prisoner has a psychiatric nurse or care worker in the community, no suicidal thoughts, no thoughts of deliberate self-harm, has not stayed in a psychiatric hospital, prisoner has received medication for mental health problems, prisoner has received treatment from a psychiatrist outside prison. So do you agree that this was the kind of conversation you had with the person who saw you on that occasion?
I disagree. I've never been in prison. I've
No.
never lived in prison. So
No,
that's
no,
it. That's a lie.
Well, what's a lie?
About me to be ex-prisoner. I never go to prison.
No, but this is the form that is filled out, and it uses the word prison, I suspect. That's why it says
So
prison.
who filled this form?
It was Mr. Painter.
So he did wrong.
Say that again? He
Did wrong.
did wrong. All right. But he was right to take down victim of torture, beaten by police in 2000.
Correct.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
And that must have come from you.
Yes.
Right. Now, on page 47 of this document, please, there's another entry that I want you to look at. And it's the 18th of May one. It's just before halfway down. It's the long entry where you saw Maria Barclay, a healthcare consistent. This time you'd been sent to the Verne by now. Do you see in the right hand entries? This is at the Verne, so you've been moved from Brook House. And you see at the bottom, 18th of May 2017, 23:56. Yeah, so that's just before midnight. You with me?
Yeah.
And if we can look at the entry below that, please, because it's the entry I want to see. So all of that text. You can see at the top the new patient screening. So as far as the Vern is concerned, it was another admission, so you went through the same process. And there's only one thing I want to ask you about here, which we're asked to ask you on behalf of G4S. Did you see it says refer to GP? Do you see it says refer to GP about 5 lines down?
Yeah,
Were you referred to a GP
in the Viven.
at the Vern? Yes?
Yes.
And why was that?
And it was normal check-in for any detainees who have been seen there for the first
So
day.
was it the Rule 34?
No, that's the Rule 34, the Rule 35 or you talk about.
No. Do you remember you have to be seen by a medical call practitioner or a healthcare person within 24 hours? Do you remember you referred to Rule 34, not 35 earlier? Was that it, or for some other reason?
Could you explain me about the Rule 34?
Well, let's make it simpler than that. Why were you referred to a GP?
To see the doctor there?
To see
To see the doctor in Viven.
in the Vern? Why?
About due to my memory, when I get there, again, I explained my mental health to be a victim of torture.
Yeah.
And
So you explained that you had been a victim of torture.
yeah,
And was that why you were referred to a GP?
it might be that, because when I went there, rather than go through my mental health, they just make a general check-in.
Right. So rather than go through your mental health, this was a general check-in,
Yeah.
is the way you're putting it. All right. Now, if we can go to another page of these reports, medical records, sorry, page 45. Let's see if we can follow this up. Towards the top half of the page, do you see, again at the Vern, on the 23rd of May, so a few days later, at 10:47 in the morning, you were seen by Dr. Jane Fowler. Do you see that also at the Vern?
Yeah,
Was that the GP you were referred to?
that day,
No. When we saw that you were referred to GP, is she the GP who was to see you?
yeah, correct.
Yeah. And you told her about torture, and do you see that 4 lines down, there is an entry, PHX. Do you see that? PHX of torture. Can you highlight that, please? Just that section.
Yeah,
Right. PHX, past history of torture according to patient report, although States has had torture report in past, which Home Office doesn't accept, no previous Rule 35, not previously detained, requires Rule 35, full assessment completion in view of past history. And then there are some aspects of the examination of you. Looks like you had some pain and you were prescribed ibuprofen. And you were told what to do with that. So that's you seeing Dr. Fowler. Do you know if at the Vern a Rule 35 referral was in fact made? At the Vern?
Viven, yeah,
You think it was?
yeah.
And do you know who you saw?
The doctor, the lady.
Which one, Dr. Fowler or somebody else?
She's background, she's Asian.
She's
Asian,
Asian.
yeah.
All right, so not Dr. Fowler.
Dr. Fab is British.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
So you saw another doctor
another doctor.
at the Vern or at Brook House?
Then,
The Vern. Man or woman?
woman.
Woman. If when you saw that doctor, did she complete a Rule 35 report on you?
No.
No. Why not?
When I get there, I didn't know she would do Route 35.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the Route 35.
At that point. Okay.
And then she asked me I call. Do you know why I call you? I said no, because I got a slip under my door.
You got a slip under your door.
Let me know that I have appointment with the doctor.
So you had an appointment for the doctor.
Yeah.
You knew that from a slip under the door. When
Yeah.
you saw her, she asked you whether you understood why you were seeing her. You said no.
Yeah.
And what happened?
She said, okay, and I saw your file. You have been victim of a torture.
I saw your file. You've been a victim of torture.
So I had to do a Rule 35.
Right. And is that the first time you heard of Rule 35? All right.
So she asked me what happened.
Right.
So I was sitting there without knowing about that. My mental health was worse.
Yeah.
So I tried to recollect my memory
Yeah.
and start to tell us what happened to me back home.
Okay.
She stopped me, telling me that she need the date
Yeah.
to hit event
Of what? Of the torture?
of a torture. So I'm said, I'm sorry, I'm not right now to recollect my brain and to give you the exact date. So what I got to do, I need some time to concentrate myself and to focus. I will come back. So we agree. We will meet up on
Another time.
Another time.
All right. Did you in fact see her another time?
No.
No. Because what? You went back to the Brook house?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Right. You did see another doctor, though, it appears, on the 1st of June 2017 at the Verne. If we can go, please, to page 44 of the medical records at the top. You see, on the 1st of June at 14:07, so 7 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, you saw a Dr. Margit Zell, S-Z-E-L, a sessional GP, I suppose that could be the same sort of thing as a locum, at the Verne. Clinical examination on the 6th of February 2009 in Ivory Coast. He was confronted by the police after finishing a political meeting for his party. He managed not to be arrested by the help of party members. Police did not hit or beat him. And the plan was discussed. This is not a torture. And he expressed that needs time to collect his memories, what happened earlier, when he thinks he's been tortured, and will come back to us. So that's the appointment you've been telling us about. Is that right? That's, as you recollected, the Asian female doctor. You said you need to think about dates.
Correct.
And that is the entry that you've just been telling us about on the 1st of June.
Oh, correct.
Right. And so that's the 1st of June. Nearly 4 weeks later, you go back to Brook House.
Correct.
And that's the 28th of June, is that right?
Yes, correct.
2017. And why did you return to Brook House? Do you know why?
Yeah. According to
Take your hand away from your mouth so we can hear you, please.
according to, I feel sad because they didn't tell me the truth.
Just to pause there. According to
To the security guard
at,
at the van,
but they didn't tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Just tell us what you were told.
they told me that I have appointment with my embassy, Ivory Coast embassy in Gatwick.
Right. Pause there. Stop. So they told you at the Verne that you had an appointment with your embassy at Gatwick,
Yeah,
which is the reason you were being sent back to Brook House.
exactly.
And you say it wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
What was the truth?
The truth is that I got a fly on the next day.
So you had removal directions.
Yes,
So you had a flight on the next day.
the next day,
So that would be the 29th of June.
a Thursday.
When you went back to Brook House, when was it you discovered the truth?
On my arrival on the reception,
At reception. And how did you feel when you were told the truth?
I was
All right, take your time. Do you want me to read what you said in one of your witness statements? Shall
Yes.
I read to you and see if you
Yes,
agree with
please.
it? You said, and this is Chair paragraph 16 of Annex 1, which is A2.
Thank you.
When I was in reception, I asked a security guard about my meeting with the embassy. He looked confused and asked me if I knew why I'd been transferred to Brook House. The guard explained that I had a flight to go to the Ivory Coast the next day. I had not received any notice of my removal. I started seeing stars, and my heart was beating very fast. I felt sick. Do you remember that?
yes, correct.
Because it was a shock to you.
It was more than shock,
It was what?
more than.
No, I understood. What was it then?
I was on the right time. I was thinking about a lot of worse things. For me, I tell myself it's rather that I end my life that will force me to go back where I flee from persecution.
Yeah.
And I was, all my body was shaken, and then I have some tears coming from my eyes. And then I asked the reception, I need to call my solicitor.
Yeah. And did you call your solicitor at that point?
After, when I finished the process on,
Yeah. Okay. So after the reception process was finished, you were allowed to call your solicitor. Let's look again at the records. We have up page 44. Let's look at another entry, please. At 1737. It's towards the bottom third of the page. So it's the 28th of June. At 37 minutes past 5. This time you're seeing a mental health nurse by the name of Skeet Jitter. And the information you give, born in Ivory Coast, health information received from outside source, has no outstanding hospital or doctor's appointments, speaks English well, fit to attend gym, main spoken language English, Christian. Prisoner has concerns over their physical health, apparently none. And 2 lines below that, as we saw before, victim of torture, said he was tortured by the police between 2004 and 2009, came to the UK in 2009 and claimed asylum. So this is the 28th of June, and you're being seen by a mental health nurse. Do you remember being seen by any doctor within 24 hours of your
No.
return to Brook House?
no, to my recording to my memory, no.
And was any Rule 35 assessment made at that time?
No.
Let me ask you then some other things. We'll come back to other issues of your evidence. But when you came back to Brook House on the 28th of June, so on this occasion, did you stay on B Wing?
Yes.
For how long?
Less than a week.
Yeah. I think you said, to remind you of what you said in one of your statements, a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you this so that we're clear? When you were detained at Brook House to begin with, the very first time in May, did you stay overnight at Brook House or did you go straight to the Verne?
No, straight away.
Straight away. On this occasion, you stay a couple of days on B Wing. I think you were moved to D Wing.
Correct.
Were you ever on E Wing
Never.
or the care and separation unit?
Never.
The block? No. Tell us about the room conditions or the cell conditions. We just see you grimace, but tell us what you recall of the conditions that you were detained in. First of all, did you have a roommate?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All the way through?
Yes,
Were you with one man or two men?
one more.
One man. What were the conditions like? Were they good or bad?
It was
Worse in what way?
that affect my mental health.
So they affected your mental health.
Yeah,
Describe. We've heard some evidence already about the cell or the room conditions, but from your perspective, what was the worst part of it?
it remind me my time in prison and back on
In the Ivory
Coast. It's smelly.
Yeah. So we have the smell because of the toilet.
Yeah,
All right. What else?
and
Take your time, sir. Maybe have a sip of water.
If you don't want to tell me, do you want me to read what you said? Would that be easier? Would you like me to read to you what you said? Would that be easier? Would that be easier if I read you what you said in your statements?
Do you-
Can I have a break, please?
Would you like to take a break?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I'll rise for 5 minutes and we'll see how you are then. Of course, no problem. Thank you. drive. Thank you.
You'll remember I was asking you about the conditions in which you were detained in the cell or the room. Yeah, you mentioned smells. Were you locked in 3 times a day?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
And did the lock-ins make you feel depressed?
Yes.
Because they reminded you of the torture you had undergone.
Correct.
Was there anything else about the rooms? We know about the toilets. Did you have to clean your room?
You don't, even if we have to clean, we didn't give us any product.
Did you ask?
Yes,
Did
we
you
asked.
for toilet brushes or
Toilet brushing,
cleaning products?
cleaning product to clean inside. So
Did you get them
No.
when you asked?
Yeah.
And did you ask more than once?
I asked twice. My cellmate did as well.
Yeah.
You didn't get any feedback.
No. Let's look, please, at another entry in the medical records, this time for the 6th of August, at page 39 to begin. And it's the bottom third, please. 6th of August at 16:22. Do you see, you saw then a mental health nurse, James Newlands, and halfway through that entry, do you read, it informs me that his problem of feeling stressed and anxious has started again now that he has been held here in detention, states this brings back memories of when he was arrested and held in prison by the military police in his own country. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
He also says this is causing him to have flashbacks which disturb his sleep at night. Mental health assessment. He's a 46-year-old male who's originally from the Ivory Coast, states came to the UK in 2009 to seek asylum because he was not safe in his country, however, said that his application had been refused. And if we go, please, to page 38. And if we look roughly about 10 lines down, and the line begins feeling the way he does, that's it. Also stated that being held here in detention reminds him of when he had been arrested by the military and tortured, especially at night when he's locked in his room and he can hear doors opening with keys. During the appointment, although he did appear to be anxious, there was no evidence of any psychotic symptoms or content in his speech, and denies any thoughts of self-harm at this time. However, he did say that at times he did think about harming himself to see if immigration would pay attention to him. If we can go to page 32, please. 30th of September, on page 32, at the top, second entry. Can we expand that, please? At 11:29, seen by triage nurse, seen in clinic, spoke about feeling anxious, especially at night when the rooms are locked, spoke about stomach issues and waking when he hears the noise outside. And overview notes suggested his issues could be anxiety related to being locked, suggested he could consider asking for a transfer to Tinsley House, as the rooms are not locked there at night, review in clinic in 1 week. Did you try to make any transfer to Tinsley House
Yes,
without success?
yes,
Now, you will recall that you raised a number of complaints, which the Professional Standards Unit of the Home Office looked into. Do you remember that?
no,
You remember you made 11 allegations,
yes,
yeah? So 6 of which were unsubstantiated, 4 of which were substantiated, and 1 was partly substantiated. Do you remember?
Yeah, according to the PCSU.
That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
PSU. And let's look at this, and I'll take you to the various parts of the report. I'm going to ask you about one of the allegations that you made, please. It's HOM 002748 at page 42. And if we look at page 42, allegation 11, and I'm not going to read through all of this, but we can just see the allegations you made. The allegation there, allegation 11, so that's the 11th of 11 allegations, that the toilet facilities in your room were inadequate and lacked privacy, causing you humiliation when using during times when your room was locked. That was one of the complaints that you had, and it's one of the things you said in one of your witness statements. If we go to the next page, please, at page 43, at paragraph 711.6, your evidence about the toilets was that you were upset and humiliated about the state of the toilet and having to use this in front of a roommate, and to be subject to being present when the roommate used this. I understand, and that's the investigator, that the responsibility for cleaning the toilets falls to the detainees themselves, and cleaning products are available. And you say they weren't. Other than that, the toilet in the room sharing and lock-up are an accepted norm by the Home Office at this time, and no issue has been raised in the centre-wide review by, and this is how it reads, Sir Shaw, Stephen Shaw is what it's a reference to. Current Home Office policy is that D668 need only have access to a toilet, and he did. On the evidence and to a balance of probabilities, I find the allegation that the toilet facilities were inadequate and lacked privacy unsubstantiated unless found otherwise by the wider Home Office review. So that was the outcome of allegation 11. You'll remember that on the 20th of December 2017, you were interviewed by the PSU investigators over a lengthy period of time where you made all of your complaints.
correct.
And this is the outcome of those complaints. Obviously, the PSU also having listened to and investigated the other side of your complaints. You understand that? Let me ask you about a different topic, please, and this is access to legal advice.
Mr.
Yes?
Can I say something about the PSU?
Yes?
That day when I went to it was a Croydon. In Croydon, we have this meeting to make the interview regarding
In Croydon?
in Croydon.
Yeah.
And it is on the same place, second where I be arrested
In the first place?
on the first place. So I was so shirtful. I'm shocked. Bring back my memory there. And when you start the interview, I asked, it was a lady, if and by the hand I can have a copy of audio,
A copy of...
the audio, because she
Was it audio recorded?
Yeah, audio recorded. And so we agree about that. And surprisingly, from that day until now, I didn't receive anything.
So you've never heard the recording?
Nothing.
All right. But it's all written down, and we have the notes of the interview, which I'm sure you've seen.
My point is that
Yeah.
the audio would be more obvious what I said that day
Yeah, more
than
accurate.
what she wrote down.
No, of course. But you accept we have the notes of the interview. They go on for several pages. What you don't have is the audio, which would have been clearer. But you're not saying, are you, that you don't accept the record of the interview that was made?
Some record I don't accept.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go into all of that detail, I'm afraid, now. But we understand that if we look at the interview record, it has to come with that health caution. All right? We'll understand that. Okay. One of the problems that you said there were, or one of the problems that there was at Brook House is, first of all, you said you had a mobile phone, but it had no credit.
Correct.
Remember? And the IT system was not good.
Correct.
And the internet, when it worked, was slow.
Correct.
And tell us, it's something that we've heard from at least one other person and may hear again. But did you notice the times when the internet was bad?
Yes.
When? When would it go down?
It's especially the day the detainees have a charter flight.
So when there would be a charter flight,
Yeah.
there was the internet seemed not to work.
Not to work.
Yeah.
And surprisingly,
Say again.
I say surprisingly, the other room, the healthcare, where you have to make the copy of, how we call it, welfare team,
Yeah.
all the internet, they're working efficiently. And the IT, the computer room from the detainees is not working.
Yeah. So you're meaning, I think I understand, the internet for the welfare team was okay,
Yeah,
but for the detainees it wasn't.
it's not working.
All right, I understand.
And moreover, you don't have signal on the mobile phone.
No signal.
If you got EE mobile phone, or you got auto, you don't get the chance to communicate with
Yeah.
your solicitor.
So EE and O2, the network signal was
working,
what,
yeah.
always bad or only sometimes bad?
Only Wednesday. that
Only
day.
on Wednesdays, what, when charter flights
Yeah.
were due to go out? All right. Let's look at another part of your medical records, please, because I was asking you specifically, I want to see what you said, about difficulties sending documents to solicitors.
Yeah.
And if we can go back to DL 0000040 at page 37, please. And if we can go right to the bottom of the page for the 14th of August at 12:01. Do you see you were at an emotional health group? And did Deborah Allred, did she run the group? Or was this a personal appointment?
It's the person in charge, they're coming from outside.
Yeah, but
Of education.
my question is, was this a personal appointment or is this part of a group you attended on the 14th of August?
Group.
It's a group. And she's an occupational therapist, and the note is you attended the group and engaged well, so it looks like it's a note of your attendance at the group. Described how he was managing being in Brook House by mentally preparing himself. Described how stress was affecting him, describing mainly physical symptoms. And then this, he described his difficulty in sending an important document to his case and how its delivery was delayed by the slow internet connection. He was praised for being persistent, problem solving and managing to get the document delivered, and then she noted other aspects of what you had to say at the group. So this was a problem for you, sending documents to your solicitor because of, slow internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And tell us a little about the emotional health group. What was it? First of all, how many detained men would attend this group?
From the beginning, we was around 14, 15.
14 or 15. How often would you meet?
Recalling my memory, I think so. Twice a week?
2 hours a week?
Not twice.
Twice a week?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you start going?
Don't remember.
All right. How long after you, maybe not the precise days, but you returned to Brook House at the end of June?
Yeah.
How long after that do you think? A week, 2 weeks, 3
We
weeks?
started that from September, I think.
Oh, so much longer, from September?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right, Chair, I notice the time, it's just gone 1. I'm nowhere near finished, I'm afraid, so there is a possibility that this witness will occupy the rest of the afternoon. We are where we are.
Yeah, and again, my apologies for the delay, and to you, sir, that I know it's very difficult with the disruption coming back and forth, but we will take a lunch break now and come back at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.